The rain battered the windshield of Mia's beat-up Chevy as she gripped the steering wheel, her knuckles white, her heart a storm of its own. 14 years ago, her mother's voice had sliced through her like a blade. "You're no daughter of mine." Now at 28, Mia was driving back to the town that had spit her out, her pulse racing with a mix of dread and defiance. She glanced at the passenger seat where Elise sat, her soft blue sweater a stark contrast to the gray world outside. Elise's hand rested gently on Mia's thigh, a quiet anchor. "You don't have to do this alone," Elise said, her voice steady, her green eyes catching the faint glow of the dashboard. Mia nodded, but the weight of her past clung to her like damp clothes. She was returning to Willow Creek, Ohio, not just to face her mother, but to reclaim the pieces of herself she'd left behind. 14 years earlier, Mia had been a scrawny 14-year-old, her world confined to the peeling paint of her mother's double-wide trailer. She'd always known she was different, her heart pulling her toward girls in a way her small, conservative town couldn't stomach. When her mother, Diane, caught her kissing her best friend, Sarah, behind the school gym, the fallout was swift. Diane's face had twisted with rage, her words venomous. "You're an abomination. Get out." Mia had packed a backpack with shaking hands, her mother's screams echoing as she stumbled into the night, homeless at 14. The memory stung as Mia drove past the faded "Welcome to Willow Creek" sign. The town hadn't changed much, same rusted gas station, same diner with its flickering neon sign. But Mia had. She wasn't that scared kid anymore. She clawed her way through foster homes, late-night diner shifts, and community college to become a graphic designer with a life in Chicago. And she had Elise, the woman who'd taught her what love could be: fierce, unwavering, real. "Why now?" Elise asked softly, breaking the silence. Mia's jaw tightened. A letter had arrived 3 weeks ago, scrawled in Diane's jagged handwriting. "I'm sick. I want to see you." No apology, no explanation, just a demand. Mia had almost burned it, but something, maybe hope, maybe anger, made her keep it. "I need to know if she's changed," Mia said finally. "If she's still the woman who threw me out, or if she's something else now." The Chevy pulled into the trailer park, and Mia's stomach churned. Diane's trailer looked smaller than she remembered, its siding weathered, the porch sagging. Elise squeezed her hand. "You're stronger than this place," she whispered. Mia took a breath, stepped out of the car, and walked toward the door, each step a rebellion against the girl she used to be. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of stale coffee and menthol cigarettes. Diane sat in a recliner, her face gaunt, her hair gray and thin. She looked older than her 50 years, her eyes sunken but sharp. "You came," Diane said, her voice raspy. No warmth, no regret, just a statement. Mia's throat tightened, but she held her ground. "You asked me to." Diane coughed, a wet, rattling sound. "Cancer," she said bluntly. "Doctors give me a year, maybe less." Mia's heart lurched, but she stayed silent. Diane's gaze flicked to Elise, who stood quietly by the door. "Who's she?" "My partner," Mia said, the word deliberate, a challenge. Diane's lips pressed into a thin line, but she didn't speak. The silence was heavy, filled with years of unspoken pain. Mia wanted to scream, to demand why Diane had abandoned her, why love had been a crime in this house. Instead, she said, "Why am I here, Mom?" Diane looked away, her hands trembling. "I don't know," she admitted. "Maybe I just needed to see you." Mia's chest ached. It wasn't an apology, but it was something. She glanced at Elise, whose steady presence gave her the courage to stay. This wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was a start. As they left the trailer, the rain had stopped, and the sky was clearing. Mia felt lighter, like she'd shed a piece of the weight she'd carried for years. Elise slipped her arm around Mia's waist, and they walked back to the car, two women against the world. Mia wasn't sure what tomorrow would bring, but for the first time, she felt ready to face it. The diner's fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as Mia and Elise slid into a booth, the cracked red vinyl squeaking under them. Willow Creek's only diner hadn't changed in a decade, same sticky menus, same jukebox playing Johnny Cash. Mia's hands fidgeted with a sugar packet, her mind replaying the encounter with her mother. Diane's hollow face, her curt words, the absence of an apology at all gnawed at her. Elise reached across the table, her fingers brushing Mia's. "You okay?" she asked, her voice a soft tether pulling Mia back to the present. "Not really," Mia admitted, her voice low. I thought I'd feel something. Closure, maybe. But it's just more questions. She looked out the window at the quiet street, where kids rode bikes in lazy circles. This town had been her prison once, its judgment suffocating. Yet here she was voluntarily back chasing ghosts. Elise leaned forward, her blonde hair catching the light. You don't owe her anything, Mia. You came. That's more than most would do. Mia nodded, but doubt lingered. She'd spent years building a life without Diane, but one letter had unraveled her resolve. Why did she still care what her mother thought? The waitress, a woman with tired eyes and a name tag reading Barb, poured them coffee. You're Diane's girl, aren't you? She asked, squinting at Mia. Heard you were back. Mia stiffened, the small-town rumor mill already churning. Yeah, she said curtly, bracing for judgment. But Barb just smiled. You look good, kid. Strong. The words caught Mia off guard. A small warmth in the cold of her return. Later, at the motel where they were staying, Mia sat on the edge of the bed, staring at her phone. She'd kept her mother's letter in her email, rereading it obsessively. I'm sick. I want to see you. No mention of the past, no hint of remorse. Elise sat beside her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. Talk to me, Elise said gently. I keep thinking about that night, Mia said, her voice breaking. I was 14, Elise. I had nowhere to go. I slept in a park for 2 nights before a teacher found me. The memory flooded back, cold grass, hunger gnawing at her stomach, the fear of being invisible. She didn't even look for me. Elise pulled her close, her warmth a shield against the pain. You survived, Mia. You built a life. That's your victory, not hers. Mia buried her face in Elise's shoulder, letting the tears come. Elise's love was a constant, a light that had guided Mia through her darkest years. They'd met 3 years ago at a Chicago art gallery, where Elise, a curator, had admired Mia's designs. What started as coffee dates turned into late-night talks, then a shared apartment, then a life. Elise was home in a way Willow Creek never could be. The next morning, Mia drove to the local library, a place she'd once escaped to as a kid. She wanted answers not just from Diane, but from the town itself. The librarian, Mrs. Carter, recognized her instantly. Mia Thompson, she said warmly. You used to devour those art books. Mia smiled, surprised by the kindness. Mrs. Carter handed her a stack of old newspapers, mentioning that Diane had been active in a local church group before her diagnosis. She's changed, you know, Mrs. Carter said carefully. Not perfect, but softer. Mia wasn't sure she believed it, but the words stuck with her as she flipped through the papers. An article caught her eye. A feature on a community center Diane had helped fund, one that offered support for at-risk teens. Mia's breath caught. Was this Diane's attempt at redemption, or just a way to ease her guilt? She didn't know, but it stirred something in her, hope maybe, or just curiosity. That afternoon, Mia and Elise visited the community center. It was small but bustling, with kids painting murals and playing basketball. A volunteer, a young woman named Tara, showed them around. Diane's been a big part of this place, Tara said. She talks about her daughter sometimes. Says she made mistakes. Mia's heart pounded. Mistakes? That word felt too small for what Diane had done. As they left, Mia felt the weight of her mother's shadow. She wasn't ready to forgive, but she was starting to see Diane as more than the monster of her memories. Elise took her hand, grounding her. Whatever happens, Elise said, you're not that kid anymore. You're enough. Mia squeezed her hand, drawing strength from the woman she loved. Tomorrow she'd face Diane again, and this time, she'd ask the questions that had haunted her for years. The air in Diane's trailer was stifling, the hum of an old fan doing little to ease the tension. Mia sat across from her mother, her hands clasped tightly in her lap, Elise a quiet strength beside her. Yesterday's visit to the community center had left Mia restless, torn between anger and a fragile hope that Diane might have changed. But hope was dangerous, and Mia wasn't sure she could afford it. You're still with her, Diane said, her eyes flicking to Elise. It wasn't a question, but the edge in her voice made Mia bristle. Yeah, Mia said, her tone firm. Elise is my family. Diane's face twitched, but she didn't argue. Instead, she reached for a glass of water, her hands shaking. I didn't ask you here to fight, she said. I just wanted to see you. Mia's chest tightened. You keep saying that, but why? You threw me out, Mom. I was a kid. Her voice cracked, years of pain spilling out. Do you even know what that did to me? Diane looked down, her fingers twisting the edge of a blanket. For the first time, Mia saw something like shame in her mother's eyes. I was wrong, Diane said quietly, the words barely audible. Mia froze. She'd waited 14 years to hear that, but now it felt hollow too late. Wrong. Mia echoed, her voice rising. You left me with nothing. I was homeless. I was scared. And you didn't care. Elise's hand found hers, a gentle reminder to breathe. Diane's eyes glistened, but she didn't cry. I was scared too, she said. I didn't understand you. The church, this town, they told me it was a sin. I thought I was saving you. Mia laughed bitterly. Saving me? By abandoning me. Diane flinched, and for a moment, Mia saw the weight of her mother's regret. It didn't erase the pain, but it was real. Elise spoke up, her voice calm but firm. Mrs. Thompson, Mia's built a life despite everything. She's here because she's strong, not because you deserve it. Diane looked at Elise, then back at Mia, her expression unreadable. I know, she said finally. I don't expect forgiveness. I'm proud of you. The words hit Mia like a punch. Proud? She wanted to scream, to demand more, but something stopped her. Diane wasn't the same woman who'd screamed at her all those years ago. She was frail, broken, grappling with her own mortality. Mia didn't know if she could forgive, but she realized she didn't want to carry the anger anymore. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Mia and Elise walked to the car, the silence between them comfortable. You were amazing in there, Elise said, her voice warm. Mia smiled faintly. I don't know what I feel. She's trying, but it's not enough. Elise nodded. It doesn't have to be. You decide what's enough. That night at the motel, Mia couldn't sleep. She sat by the window watching the stars over Willow Creek. Elise joined her, wrapping a blanket around them both. What are you thinking? Elise asked. Mia sighed. I keep wondering what my life would have been like if she'd accepted me. But then I think, I wouldn't have you. Elise kissed her forehead, and Mia felt a warmth that no memory could steal. The next day, Mia returned to the community center, drawn by a need to understand Diane's role there. Tara, the volunteer, showed her a wall of photo skits, smiling, some holding certificates, others painting or playing instruments. Your mom started this place after you left, Tara said. She never said why, but I think it was for you. Mia's throat tightened. She saw a photo of Diane with a group of teens, her smile tired but genuine. It was a side of her mother Mia had never known. As they left, Mia felt a shift inside her. She wasn't ready to forgive, but she was starting to see Diane as human, flawed, struggling, maybe even sorry. Elise took her hand, and they walked into the evening, the weight of the past a little lighter. Mia didn't know what the next visit would bring, but she knew she wasn't alone. Mia stood in the community center's small garden, watching a group of teens plant flowers under Tara's guidance. The air smelled of fresh dirt and spring, a stark contrast to the heaviness in her chest. She'd spent the past few days wrestling with Diane's words, I was wrong. I'm proud of you, and they still felt like a puzzle she couldn't solve. Elise stood beside her, her presence a quiet strength as always. This place is special, Elise said, nodding toward the kids. Your mom did something good here. Mia nodded, but her thoughts were elsewhere. She'd agreed to meet Diane again today, this time at a park where they used to go when Mia was a child. The thought of it stirred memories, pushing a swing, Diane's rare laughter, moments when life felt simple. But those moments had been buried under years of pain, and Mia wasn't sure she could unearth them. At the park, Diane sat on a bench, a scarf wrapped around her thinning hair. She looked smaller, more fragile, but her eyes held a spark Mia hadn't noticed before. Thanks for coming, Diane said, her voice soft. Mia sat beside her, Elise standing a few steps away, giving them space. I used to bring you here, Diane said, gesturing to the swings. You'd laugh so loud it scared the birds. Mia's throat tightened. I remember. She wanted to hold on to that memory, but it was tangled with everything else. Why didn't you ever look for me? she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Diane's hands trembled and she looked away. I was ashamed, she said. I thought you'd be better off without me. I was wrong, Mia. I know that now. The words hung between them, heavy with years of silence. Mia wanted to believe her, but trust was a fragile thing. I needed you, she said, her voice breaking. I was a kid, and you left me to survive on my own. Diane's eyes filled with tears, and for the first time, Mia saw her mother cry. I know, Diane whispered. I'll carry that for the rest of my life. Elise stepped closer, her hand resting on Mia's shoulder. The touch grounded her, reminding her of the life she'd built. I don't know if I can forgive you, Mia said honestly. But I'm here. That's something. Diane nodded, wiping her eyes. It's more than I deserve. They sat in silence, watching kids play in the distance. Mia felt a strange peace, like a knot in her chest was loosening. She didn't owe Diane forgiveness, but she could choose to let go of the anger that had defined her for so long. As they left the park, Elise took her hand, and Mia felt a surge of gratitude. This woman, this love was her anchor. Back at the motel, Mia found a letter slipped under their door. It was from Tara with a note. Found this in Diane's office. Thought you should have it. Inside was a journal, its pages worn. Mia opened it, her heart pounding. It was Diane's, filled with entries about the community center, about regret, about a daughter she'd lost. One line stood out. I hope Mia's happy. I hope she's loved. Mia's eyes stung. It wasn't enough to erase the past, but it was proof that Diane had changed, even if only a little. That night, Mia and Elise lay in bed, the journal between them. She's trying, Mia said softly. Elise nodded, brushing a strand of hair from Mia's face. So are you. That's what matters. Mia kissed her, a slow, tender kiss that felt like a promise. She wasn't sure what tomorrow would bring, but she knew she'd face it with Elise by her side. The morning sun filtered through the motel curtains, casting soft light on Mia's face as she packed her bag. Today was their last day in Willow Creek, and the weight of the past week felt both heavy and freeing. Diane's journal lay on the nightstand, its words a quiet bridge between the mother she'd lost and the woman she was starting to understand. Elise zipped up her suitcase, her smile warm. Ready to go home? She asked. Mia nodded, but her heart lingered on one final visit to Diane. They drove to the trailer park, the familiar road now less daunting. Diane was waiting on the porch, a thermos of coffee in her hands. She looked tired but present, her eyes softer than Mia had ever seen. I didn't think you'd come back, Diane said, her voice hesitant. Mia shrugged, a small smile tugging at her lips. Neither did I. They sat on the porch, the air crisp with the promise of spring. Diane spoke first, her words careful. I started the community center because of you, she said. I couldn't fix what I did, but I thought, maybe I could help other kids. Mia's chest ached. It wasn't an apology, not fully, but it was an offering a piece of Diane's truth. I read your journal, Mia said, her voice steady. You wrote about me. Diane's eyes widened, then softened. I never stopped thinking about you, she said. I was too proud to admit I was wrong, but I was. Every day. Mia swallowed hard, the words sinking in. She didn't know if she could fully forgive, but she could feel the anger slipping away, replaced by something softer, acceptance, maybe. Elise sat quietly, her presence a reminder that Mia had a home, a family, a life beyond this town. Diane noticed their joined hands and for the first time didn't look away. She's good for you, Diane said, her voice almost a whisper. Mia nodded, her throat tight. She's everything. As they talked, Mia shared pieces of her life, her job, her art, the way Elise made her laugh. Diane listened, her face a mix of pride and regret. When it was time to leave, Diane stood, her movements slow. If you ever want to come back, she said, I'll be here. Mia nodded, unsure if she would, but grateful for the choice. The drive back to Chicago was quiet, the landscape blurring past. Elise reached for Mia's hand, her touch a lifeline. You did it, she said softly. You faced her. Mia smiled, tears prickling her eyes. I faced myself, she said. I'm not that scared kid anymore. Back in their apartment, Mia hung a new sketch on the wall, a drawing of two women under a sunset, their hands intertwined. It was her and Elise, a testament to the love that had carried her through. She thought of Diane, of the community center, of the journal that held a mother's quiet remorse. Mia didn't know if she'd return to Willow Creek, but she knew she'd carry this week with her not as a wound, but as a scar, proof of her strength. As she fell asleep in Elisa's arms, Mia felt whole. She'd come back to Willow Creek to confront her past, but she'd found something more. The courage to let go, to love fiercely, to live unapologetically. Her mother's rejection had once defined her, but now it was just a chapter one she'd closed, stronger than ever. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.